Due to the high humidity levels here in Florida, mold's everywhere. Knowing what it is and how to prevent it is key. Today we're going to talk about why Florida homes are more prone to mold compared to other states, and why homeowners shouldn't necessarily panic when they hear the word mold during an inspection. Here in Florida, most houses will have mold. You will always see Penicillium masculinus in most houses, Cladosporium is in most houses, Ascospores is in most houses. Very low levels of mold is acceptable, but there are certain molds that are worse than others. Stachybotrys being one of them, most people refer to as black mold. Having one count of Stachybotrys in your house is a bad thing. Versus Penicillium masculinus, one of the most common molds here we have in Florida, a raw count up to 10 is perfectly acceptable in a house. So big difference on the different types of molds and the different levels of molds in your house. So mold needs humidity, water, and a food source. So it can pretty much grow anywhere as long as it has those three things. So it doesn't matter whether it's an exterior wall, an interior wall, your attic space. All those areas could be prime conditions depending on the environment. Some of the tools that I use are moisture reader. I really focus on my infrared that allows me to see moisture in any cold spots. The AC maybe could just be leaking, and then that could be an issue down the line as well. I always say whether you have infants, elderly people, anybody who is autoimmune or has an asthma, should always get pretty much your levels checked. So that way you can go back to your doctor and talk to your doctor about the different levels, because what is acceptable for a lab may not be acceptable for somebody who has an autoimmune disease or has underlying conditions like that. So it's always best to talk to your doctor and with the lab results, because what's okay for me may not be okay for you, and the lab says it's okay, but if you have an underlying condition, yeah, that's all bets are off. When I do a mold inspection, it's very similar to a home inspection. It's just with more of a focused on certain areas, your penetrations, your windows, your doors, obviously your plumbing fixtures and stuff like that, as well as your AC. Those issues are pretty much typically where you see common issues with mold. It can grow pretty fast depending on the environment. Mold can develop within 24 to 48 hours. And then again, depending on the environment, and if it continues to have that high humidity and water intrusions, it will excessively grow faster and faster. As soon as you see mold, take corrective actions, whether that's depending on the size, hire a remediation company, or there is some stuff that you can buy on over-the-counter Amazon that is a antimicrobial spray that definitely gets rid of mold, but never bleach. Bleach does nothing to mold, so don't let somebody tell you that bleach helps prevent mold or stops mold or does anything to mold. To prevent mold, I would say getting your AC service regularly. I'm a twice a year kind of guy. If you have a lot of kids and a lot of pets in your home, that is an active home, I would say it probably should be inspected more often, just because the activity of in and out animal dandruff can also cause issues with the AC filter, just with all that hair and stuff like that. Down here in Florida, most AC units we see have mold, and that's partly due to where they place the AC units, whether it's in a garage or in an attic. Those areas having a high humidity level, the dew point on that surface is a lot lower than everywhere else. So they produce a lot more condensation. Therefore, with that condensation, you're getting that moisture, so you will develop more mold. And so it's really critical to have that AC unit checked regularly by a service technician to make sure that there isn't any excessive growth on AC units. Because our houses are still sealed up, it's critical. They need to be serviced regularly. Your filter needs to be changed regularly. There are different home air filters, or even on your AC unit. There is a product that they use as an ultraviolet light. I recommend that to all my homeowners. They can install it right on the AC unit. With that ultraviolet light, that kills 99.9% of germs, allergens, hair from your dogs, as well as mold. So always a good idea to install that. If you rent and you're not able to get that installed on their unit, they do have individual air filters. I'm a big believer of Medify Air. They have different air filters, as well as they have medical grade air filters that you can upgrade to. Good product, good company. They have all kinds of air filters. You should regularly check ceilings in all the rooms of your house. So you really want to be critical. Checking those either monthly or every quarterly would definitely help to ensure, because a small roof leak can turn into big damage later on. When you first see mold, you should always call mold remediation company, and they will come out and evaluate the situation and determine what is moldy, how far it has gone out to. And they can create an action plan for the remediation to come in and tear out what is moldy. That is part of the inspection. Is basically it's a two-part inspection. Is the first guy comes out, which is me, a licensed mold assessor. I come out, I visually assess the area, determine what has gotten wet, what is moldy, and then from there I can forward my notes on to a remediation company, and they can come out and do the work. I have a sensitive smell, a sensitive nose. So, I mean, there is a difference between a mold smell and a musty smell. Some showers can have a musty smell, and it's not necessarily mold. It's just algae building up. We have a very hard water here in Florida, so you can have a lot of mildew build up in a shower, and that will give off some smells. That is not necessarily a mold, it's just a mildew. So it takes a little bit deeper cleaning. One way to prevent that is actually by sealing your shower. They have a lot of at Home Depot or Lowe's, they have products that they can sell that you just spray on, and it seals all of the tiles. Again, because of the hard water that we have here in Florida, it builds up some of that stuff in the corners, and especially on the shower floor in the corners there, it will build up. And so sealing all of that stuff will help with the discoloration. A lot of people notice in their showers the caulking is discolored or looks moldy, and most of the times it is just a mildew, not a mold. There's a difference. And then because again, we have hard water here in Florida, getting a whole home water softener or filtration system, you will appreciate that more. Your wife will appreciate that more because it helps with skin softness, hair softness. It does wonders for everybody. I would say if a house has a lot of stucco cracks, that's going to make me want to stare more into the exterior or the interior of the walls and focus on infrared. Because with stucco cracks, water can penetrate the wall and end up basically on the inside of the house, causing mold in any bedrooms, bathrooms, anywhere that it comes in, those stucco cracks. If it's a wood frame house and there is water penetrating, you will see some of the wood siding or even the stucco lattice separating from the house. That's indication that the water has gotten behind the stucco or the siding, and it's starting to peel away from the actual framing of the house. When you contact Hope Home Inspections, all of our inspectors are licensed to at least call out organic growth. They are not allowed to say that it is mold. That's when you call in the experts, either William or I, who are licensed mold assessors, and we can determine with our lab results exactly what type of mold is in your house or at what levels. If you want to have a deeper dive into exactly how far the mold has gone and how bad the mold is, then that's when me or William will come out and we will assess the situation. Different inspections for mold is a limited mold inspection or a full mold inspection. A limited mold inspection, I'm going to focus on one area, and that's most of the times if you see something in a particular area that you have questions about, then a limited mold would be more geared to that. For a full home mold inspection, I inspect everything, the whole exterior of your house, your roof, and then on the inside, all of your interior rooms, all of your plumbing, your AC. You want a full home inspection. That is, you just don't know what's going on. You feel sick, you feel weird, you have skin rashes. A full home mold inspection would be the best bet there. If I do a full mold inspection and I do find organic growth somewhere, I will always recommend to my clients that we need to do lab results, and we basically need to set up air samples. And I typically will do 2 outside air samples, a windward and a leeward side. Basically allows me to see what's filtering through your house as the wind hits your house, and then what's on the back side of the house. That gives me a baseline of what the environment is on the outside of your house. And then we will set up 1 air sample inside the house and then 1 swab sample inside the house where I determine it could be moldy. With the air samples, it is a cartridge, and it basically sucks in the air around the environment. 1 cartridge does about 1,000 square feet. So if you do have a larger home, we may need to add more air samples, but it basically sucks in the air for 10 minutes of everything that's around there. So I try to focus in, obviously, if you have an AC issue, I may focus that somewhere around the AC unit itself, or even swab the AC unit itself as well. A swab is literally just a Q-tip, and I'm basically swabbing the surface of that material. That allows me to see exactly what type of mold is present right there. It does not tell me the levels, but then with our air samples, we compare those two, and it allows me to basically visualize what's in the house and at what levels are in the house. Like I said, every house in Florida has mold in it. With all of those, the 3 air samples and the swab samples, I drop those off, and we will get a return the following next day. Most of our results are within 24 hours. All of our air samples go to LabCorp. LabCorp basically pulls those things out and sticks it under a microscope, and somebody literally will sit there and counts the number of spores on that slide. So with that, they can determine your baseline, your core values, your raw count. New construction, you will actually find a lot of that stuff on your trusses. So getting a pre-drywall inspection is always important, because those trusses, they sit out in the lot next door and it's been raining for months. Those trusses get dirty, and a lot of times those guys will just stick that in your brand new home without cleaning it properly. So always important to get a pre-drywall inspection. Never know what kind of mold could be anywhere. Getting a mold inspection regularly, if you have infants or infants or elderly, or anybody who is susceptible to mold, I would definitely recommend maybe once a year just having somebody come out and check the house. If you don't have that situation, it's just a visual check quarterly, checking your house, making sure you have no roof leaks, making sure you have no plumbing leaks, making sure that your AC is in regular service condition. That will help with that. If you ever do have concerns about a mold inspection, or even what's involved in it, or have just concerns in general, you're more than welcome to call up Home Inspections, talk to one of our techs, talk to one of our mold experts. You can give me a call. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have pertaining to those inspections, so you know exactly what you're getting into before you order it.